Hello everyone, welcome to 5 Steps Ahead. This is Devika speaking to you from the Steel City, Hamilton, Ontario, and today I have a very special episode for you. It is the story of the blue whale which was recently on exhibit at the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. This story starts in summer of 2014 when two North Atlantic whales washed up ashore in Trout River and Rocky Harbour in Newfoundland. These two whales were among the 9 animals which had become trapped in thick, heavy sea ice in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. This summer, we had one of the 80-foot whales exhibited at the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. A female North Atlantic whale named Blue, which measured up to 23.2 meters and weighed approximately 100 tons. Now, hearing about the size, we must understand that this is a massive undertaking that was successfully carried out by a lot of organizations. And in this case, it truly took a village to bring this story together, including the Royal Ontario Museum, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Research Casting International, provincial and local governments, Memorial University, and let's not forget the local community groups, contractors, engineers, artists, and craftsmen. These animals had to be flensed with their bones removed and transported to Ontario, where they stayed for 2 years buried under compost and sawdust to remove their excess flesh. Having done a brief stint in ecology, the opportunity to see this exhibit was a privilege for me. Once you walk through the basement doors at the ROM, you get to stand in this room with 3 big screens explaining the blue whale story, their extraction process, truly a lesson to be heard and learnt. As you move through the exhibit, walls highlight the workflow of how different organizations came together to complete this enormous task at hand. The infamous wristwatch worn by Engstrom is also on display, and trust me, the smell still lingers. And then, as you turn around the corner, you see this massive skull and the 350 bone skeleton of the North Atlantic blue whale. And before I forget, the heart is on display too. It took scientists close to 1.5 years to get this heart preserved. It measures up to 180 kgs, basically the size of a smart car, and this heart is from the blue whale washed up at Rocky Harbour. So with all this information, let's ask the big question. What does this all mean to us? The death of these blue whales represent a 3% decline in the North Atlantic whale population of 250 animals. Despite the massive loss, this is also an opportunity to learn for researchers and public. A chance to learn about the physiology about these massive animals, their feeding habits, the genetic diversity, their population structure, and more importantly, why are these animals struggling to reproduce? Perhaps we might find an answer to their population decline and also learn more about their critical habitats. I hope that this podcast was able to provide an interesting example of how much work and dedication it takes to curate an exhibit of this scale, quite literally and figuratively. With that, stay tuned for our next episode. We are going to be having some interesting discussions of how to do an information interview.